Hey everybody, it's pal Drew Tracy, longtime comic book industry veteran and longer time fanboy. I have ink for blood in my veins. I have pulp paper for skin. See, so I bought this online because what intrigued me about this was for so many years I'd seen a little house ad in books that came out around this time, and I was curious. And I learned it was a Steranko cover. And surprisingly, he wrote his name a lot smaller than he usually does. So I thought I'll get it for the Steranko cover at all. And it's first issue, so whatever. That's a some kind of stamp or something. Maybe I can erase it off, but I don't care. So Theodore Sturgeon had written a couple of short. He wrote this book as a short story in prose form way back in 1940. It was for a horror short story anthology called The Unknown, and later on it was collected with other short stories by Theodore Sturgeon called Without Sorcery in 1948. But however, in 1942 Hillman Comics created the Heap, the first muck monster in comic books, but that was the first comic book one. This character wouldn't show his mucky face until the end of 72 when this came out. So it was in prose. Hillman beat everybody with the Heap, and right around this time, Man-Thing and Swamp Thing came out, and you will not convince me otherwise that both DC and Marvel had freelancers who were jibber-jabbering about their upcoming Swamp Monster characters. Because by that time, the fans were running the show, and there was a lot of talk, It was just a lot of jibber-jabber, And, these things happen. But, both comics at DC and Marvel have their own fan base, strong fan bases at that. So I bought this for the Steranko cover. Didn't know what to expect, and it is an adaptation. The problem is, it doesn't make for good comics. Nice art, really nice art. It's Super Adaptoid, Roy Thomas, Marie Severin, Frank Giacoya, who I loved on the Hulk. They did like the last year of the Hulk in Tales to Astonish, then they did the first year or half year of the ongoing Hulk that followed. This was the end of 72, and it's like you don't really need the pictures. It's too dense, and despite the art, it's I don't know. I tried to read it. I would rather read it as a short story rather than in comic book form because it's just not working for me. I think the biggest problem was, and both inking and no offense, Frank, I'm one of your biggest fans, and color is there's too much ambient light. There's no real sense of horror, and this is like 2 years after the Comics Code relaxed their stringent rules about not having vampires and werewolves and all kinds of monsters. So this just looks like a superhero comic where you're waiting for the superhero to show up, but he doesn't. And it's just so much. It could have been, like a lot of that could have been silhouette. I do like that it's dark blue, and for some reason I love that face there. That is a great face. And it's just told, and the story's also told in just a very average format as far as a comic book. It's like, look at Tower of Shadows. Remember I said Tower of Shadows failed in a previous episode, but at least some of them had more frightening images. You had DC, who was really kicking Marvel's ass on this kind of stuff with Neil Adams, Nick Cardy, Bertie Wrightson, so many. And like I said, this reads like when's the superhero showing up? And that's been a problem with Marvel's horror stuff at the time. And I couldn't even read the whole thing because it really has every cliche. And the problem is, it's not a cliche that was from either Roy Thomas or Theodore Sturgeon. It's that Theodore Sturgeon created the cliche, but since then there were a lot of books. I mean, both novels and comic books that imitated the format. So this wasn't really any surprise, or it just didn't get the pulse pounding. So here's her dancing by herself like a jagoff. I used to do that a lot. In fact, I do when no one's looking. And it's great storytelling. It's just nothing in it suggests something scary. This big blobby thing could be a little darker, could be a little more. I love the rendering on it, but it's just, as I said, it's way too superhero-y. And what would a first issue of a Bronze Age comic be without a letters page space filled with a personal pronouncement of Roy Thomas? He loved doing that. But I always liked it. Ooh, excuse me. I had the sneezels. Couldn't be from this old comic with the pulp paper. Again, it's just there. It looks like this could be like out of an issue of the Hulk and the Glob or one of those things. And it just doesn't have that edge. And you find it was a dead skeleton inside the swamp creature the whole time. And that is really nice there. But no, I mean, to me, it's a flop. But it's fun, and I skimmed it. It's just that I've read so many other Muck Monster comics since then that this original story from 1940, published in a comic book form, decades later, could be considered a cliche of the imitators. I guess is the best way to put it. But it is a fun book. But I don't think I paid too much for it. And like I said, I don't care about the shape and all that. But you got the Strico cover. I'll just add this to my collection of Strico covers. Let me know what you think. And let me know of other... I think there's the one with the Killdozer. I might get that sometime. That looks really badass. But let me know what you think. Let me know which stories could have been adapted but weren't at this time. And tell me if you did like this. And I'm just full of muck. I'm full of muck and dung and stuff like that. I welcome any and all opinions. So that's it. I got a short one right now. And I'm going to go see Despicable Me on DVD in a few minutes with my wife and the two dogs. So finally got it in the mail. See ya.